I'm sharing the link to this story. It's something that happened a few years ago, but it finally worked its way through the juvenile court, and there was a determination. And this is the conundrum, and I appreciate this person sharing this. And the very simple question is, what's wrong with this picture? And I'm assuming that means the scenario and why this judge entered a bench trial determination that it was not guilty. And then, as far as there being video of the incident, having the judge say that he didn't see it, he didn't see a hit or a punch. And my thing is it's semantics. The investigators, the police investigators, had to watch the video, then refer that over to the district attorney. The district attorney had to watch the video, and then prosecuted the case. Now, please understand that it's not a jury trial; it was a bench trial. The judge made the determination, and if you read further in the article, the judge determined that there was a child out of control, and then said, "I didn't see a punch," and supposedly you watched it like 20 times. But like I said, you have to sit there and say, in my view. That's what the article says. The judge said, in my view, I didn't see a punch. And like I said, it was semantics. It was just a determination of wanting to see what they wanted to see because of the power differential. I'm the judge, and this child's out of control, which only speaks to this judge's confident ignorance, is what it does. And I never want people to be confused with regards to this notion that somehow justice exists in this country. It doesn't. It's something that frequently doesn't occur when it should, which is why somebody like me is needed, which is why I exist. And there's opposing viewpoints, but at the same time, within our criminal justice system, no, I wouldn't say that we have a fair justice system at all. I find it depending on the state, it's completely broken right now on both ends. I see prosecutors that are not pursuing crime, which is therefore only exacerbating the issues. And then I see states that have overdone it, that our prisons are full of, let's say, nonviolent offenders on archaic drug laws that, in my viewpoint, create a disparity in who it ends up targeting. And so there's the need for reform all the way across the board. And in between, we have our victims that are vulnerable populations, for example, our special needs. And when it comes to these kind of situations within the public school, it even becomes more complex, because most of our states have insulated our public schools and provided them, grand flexibility with regards to controlling their classroom or controlling the bus. And understand that children, and I'm talking about every child, has diminished rights in this country. Diminished rights. They don't have the same rights as you do. And so at that point, there's tends to be some flexibility there. And then there is also a grand hypocrisy that exists with regards to the actions of government, as opposed to what is allowed as a parent. And this is where you have the abuse of, let's say, DHR or CPS in these processes, and which is also unfortunate. But yet, mandatory reporting, for example, under a suspicion of abuse or neglect, applies to the institutions as well. And this is where I'm seeing a complete hypocrisy and a complete failing of the system. But I've seen that through the entire duration of practicing in this area, to where what is considered allowable behavior inside of an institution, let's say like a public school, inside of places like a special education self-contained classroom, completely different than, let's say, how a teacher or an aide or anybody else that works within these administrations view their own behavior, view the behavior of their peers, their coworkers inside of these environments. to where they end up getting away with this stuff. They end up justifying it in whatever realm. Things that they wouldn't justify for a parent, for example, to where they easily secretly mandatory report. And supposedly mandatory reporting is confidential, right? So you would think that that these school, staff people would sit there and report on what they see, what they hear, or what they're witnessing inside of the public school, and they're not doing it. And it's shameful. But in this particular situation, how do you knock out two teeth over a juice box? Over a juice box. This kid's autistic. Over a juice box. That's what it had to do. And it's nothing more than a power differential, guys. That power differential, that is the problem. Anytime I get involved in these cases to where neglect or abuse it's always power differentials, to where the adult, the ignorant adult, and a lot of times confidently ignorant adult, looks at these situations of, you will do what I say because I am the authority and I have the power. And when I say confidently ignorant, what I'm saying is that when people abuse power positions, when they turn things into a power play, it is because of that ignorance that this is the least common denominator. This is the thing that they turn to, and they turn to it because they are ignorant. There are people out there that they just turn to power because they're broken humans, and they're just putrid, disgusting people that like to hurt other people. Those people do exist, but they're far and few between. I think the mass majority of people that abuse power differentials in this country do so because of a lack of education, a lack of understanding of people's circumstances and conditions. And in this particular situation, a bus person that probably received 0 to no training, even though she had been a bus aide for multiple school years, and just like most aides, just ill-equipped. And so you went for the common denominator. You will do what I say. The rules say this. And anybody that has an autistic child, like I do, anybody who has sufficient information and education with regards to autism or a lot of developmental disabilities, I don't care what your rules are. You can have every rule under the sun, and I can tell you right now, my daughter's not going to recognize them. And so therefore you have to pick your, I'm not going to hate to say pick your battles, but you sit there and have to be, you have a higher duty as the educated individual in this process of saying, there's got to be flexibility. There's got to be give and take. But I can tell you that my daughter, not that she doesn't acknowledge rules and let's say turn taking and safety, those things can all be taught. But I can also tell you that her ability to delay gratification, for example, or delay what it is that she wants in this world is extremely diminished, which is the major problem. Whereas you and I, for example, have been taught over the years, and that's part of our maturity, to delay gratification. For example, you'll work for 2 weeks to get a paycheck. All right? Positive reinforcement. There you go. I'm going to work. I go to work every day. I go to work on time. I have my job. And at the end of the 2 weeks, I get a paycheck. And that paycheck allows for blah, 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 including vacations and those fun things. Your company, the people you work for, incentivize you. Insurance. Paid vacations. Some have bonuses on top of them that are fun. Positive reinforcement. Delayed gratification and your ability for that. Whereas a lot of our kids that have developmental disabilities and some behavioral issues, that ability for delayed gratification is severely diminished and impacted. And in this case, it was over a juice box. It just didn't need to be like that. But to sit there and say, oh, well, see, she was right. No, she wasn't right. This judge was ignorant, confidently ignorant. Lowest common denominator, power. And that's disgusting.